Good morning. Members will please come to the chamber and take your seats. Members, please come to the chamber, take your seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell, please? Well, good morning. The hour for convening having arrived. All members will please take your seats. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? Before I introduce the pastor of the day, which I have the distinct honor and pleasure to do such, I'm going to introduce someone else first. I want you to meet, some of you have already met her, but I want you guys to meet the Speaker of the House for the Georgia Youth Assembly, who's to my right. She is the Speaker of the House for the 2023-2024 term, and that Speaker of the House happens to have a father in this chamber. I'll let you figure out who that is when I tell you that Speaker of the House for the Youth Assembly is Ms. Kennedy Wiedauer. Kennedy, how about stand up and let's give you a welcome. I can tell you she's been with me this morning. She does not have any of her father's bad habits. It is my pleasure again to introduce the pastor of the day. And I guess I'll do this part first. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. This morning it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our chaplain of the day. Our chaplain today is Ken Philbeck. He comes to us from a very successful ministry that's down in southeast Georgia and now in South Carolina as well, from the Compassion Church, which is centered and is led by Cam Huxford in Savannah. But they have campuses across southeast Georgia. And Ken Philbeck leads the campus in Rincon, Georgia, which is in Chairman Hitchens' district. But I am able to introduce Ken because I know him very well, and because my son and his family and 3 granddaughters attend that church. Ken is also joined by his missions and outreach for the church, John Mark Roman. John Mark, if you will welcome John Mark to this assembly this morning, we would appreciate that. For you Marines in the room, John Mark is also a Marine. There you go, brother. I knew you could get that done. So we have quite the family affair down there. Let me tell you a little bit about Ken. He was born and reared in Texas, received his education in Texas, and served as associate pastor at the Northside Christian Church in Dallas? Broken Arrow. So he comes to us well educated, but like many of you, we have preachers in our lives, but not always pastors. And I can tell you that Ken has made an impact on my family. He's made an impact on Dale and myself. He's had a tremendous impact on the Compassion Church, not only in Rincon, but the other campuses as well, because of the quality of man he is, the divine guidance he receives that he imparts to his members. And I can tell you that our son Wilson is a part of Ken's prayer group, and it's been a special part of Wilson's life, because Ken is just a good, ordinary guy. He likes to hunt and fish, and he cares about his family, cares about his neighbor, and he brings God's word to that point. To that extent, I'll close with this introduction with this. Dale and I have 5 grandchildren. 3 of those grandchildren attend Ken's church. Ken and his staff have led all 3 of those girls, a set of twins, Lila and Georgia, and their big sister Elizabeth, to proclaim their profession of faith and be baptized. So Ken and his family in that church will always have a special part of our family. So I want to welcome Ken Philbeck. I want to thank Compassion Christian Church and the 10,000 lives they impact across South Georgia and South Carolina. So with no further ado, our chaplain of the day, a dear friend, Ken Philbeck.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for that introduction. It was really nice. Those are the nicest things people said about me ever. I want to, best piece of advice I got was from your son, Wilson, who told me not to screw this up, so I'm going to do my best. To the distinguished members of the House, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here today and just to be able to pray for you. I'm incredibly honored to be here, and I want you to know that I am committing in my own personal life to pray for you consistently as a body that strives to make this place, Georgia, our home, and to make it the best place to live. I want to thank you for the choice to serve this state and its people. And I'm going to pray that you will be the kind of leaders who don't just lead well, but lead with integrity, moral authority, grace, compassion, kindness, conviction, hope, most importantly, though, a dependence on God. And I want to ask you just to do something with me. Maybe you've done this before. It's something that I have been forced to in a season of my life to do, I want you to think about your life and the end of your life, looking back on your life, and what you want people to say about you. Now, notice that I didn't say what you hope people will say about you. What will people say about you? What will your spouse, your kids, your family, your friends, your coworkers, what will they say about you? What kind of person were you? How did you lead? What kind of impact did you make? What kind of wife, husband, dad, friend were you? What difference did you make? I've been thinking about those questions because I realize that I'm a steward of the life that God has given me. That I'm leaving a legacy for my children, for their spouses, for my grandchildren, and for generations to come. And if I stood up here and talked about God without being owned by God, then what kind of legacy or what kind of example am I leaving? I was confronted with this just a couple of weeks ago when I was driving down the road in Rincon and got behind a guy who was driving 14 in a 35. Now, I'm not an aggressive driver, not overly. I don't intentionally run people off the road or anything like that. And you may not struggle with this, but I can, and I get frustrated with bad drivers. He was driving 14 in that 35, and for clarity, you know there's signs on the side of the road, right, that indicate the speed at which you can travel. You can even go faster than that if you want a little risk in your life. But I didn't get too upset. I let him turn up in front of me. I was figuring I'm going to turn here. It'll be okay. He ended up turning on the same road that I did, and it was 30, and he started going 12, which, again, I'm not good at math, but that's less than half. So I was getting a little animated. I was getting a little more frustrated, and then he turned into the Dunkin' Donuts I go to. And then he proceeded to pull up to a parking place. And I don't know why people do this. I don't do it. I'm sure there's a good reason if you do it, but he pulled up to the parking space and then backed in. And I thought, why? He's not in a hurry to get anywhere. So I parked and got out of my car, and I walked into Dunkin'. As I walked in, he rolled down his window. And he said to me, "Wasn't going fast enough for you, huh?" And I said, very calmly, I said, "No, sir, you weren't. But it's okay because I drive behind stupid people all day long." I didn't say that. I may have thought it. I got my donuts and went to the church and thought about my legacy. And I came to two conclusions. One is there could just be really bad drivers out there. Or two, it could be that I think my time and my destination and my priorities are actually more important than yours. And if that's the case, then maybe the problem wasn't with him. Maybe the problem's with me. Because if I live in a relationship with God without being owned by God and allowing that to impact my life, then what kind of legacy do I leave? And the truth is, at my core, I can be kind of a selfish person. I don't have a problem considering what I want and what's important to me, but I can struggle sometimes to consider what's important for you. And I think that's the rub in a relationship with Jesus. In 1 John chapter 2, John wrote, "But those who obey God's word truly show how completely they love him. That is how we know we are living in him. Those who say they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did." A life with Jesus is different than the culture that we live in. According to Jesus, we win when we lose. We gain when we give. We get filled up when we empty ourselves. We're the greatest when we're the least. It's not first that brings satisfaction, it's actually last. And it's not about being served, but serving. And that's the life you see as you follow Jesus through the Gospels. And it's different, and sometimes it's counterintuitive to our lives. But if we live as Jesus did, he says that this is the kind of life that will bring you purpose and meaning and impact. And it's the life that people will talk about. And so I just want to remind you that all of us in this room, every one of us are going to be remembered for something. All of us will be remembered. But what will we be remembered for? And so I challenge you to consider your life and your impact and your legacy. Because when we do, we discover that the things that are really important in life take us to a deeper place of meaning and purpose in our lives here on earth and in a relationship with Jesus. And I don't think you are ever more like Jesus than when you walk like he walked. I don't think our lives are ever more compelling to this world than we live like he lived. And as you think about your impact here and at home in this world, I'm going to leave you with one piece of encouragement that my wife has taught me. What matters most in your life is not the duration of your life, but the donation of your life. It's not about how long you live, but it's about how you live. Her favorite passage was Joshua 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not harm you, and plans to give you a hope and a future." And I'm going to pray that you live well, that you lead well, because as she would say, God has great plans. And I'm going to pray that he would use you to accomplish his plans for our hope and our future. Will you stand up and pray with me? Father, I'm so incredibly grateful that you are not a God who is far away from us or uninvolved in our lives, but you're one that promises to walk with us, beside us. I pray that we would trust in you with all of our hearts, that we would not lean into our own understanding, but instead acknowledge that you alone can provide the wisdom needed to lead, and that we would trust you to make our path straight. I pray that you would empower us to live lives that are pleasing to you, and that our choices and decisions would not come from a place of selfishness, but a place of submission to a God who loved us enough to demonstrate what servant leadership is, a God who was willing to send his son, and a son who was willing to give his life for every one of us here. May we be people who live with compassionate hearts and kindness, humility, meekness, strength and control, patience. And I pray that we will bear with one another and forgive each other just as you have forgiven us. Father, I pray that your plans and your desires for our hope and our future would be what we pursue instead of our own. I want to thank you for these men and these women who have chosen to serve. And I pray that you would bless them, that you would lead them, protect them, give them clarity and wisdom as they do the work of serving the people of Georgia. But may they always be led by the higher calling of serving you. And I pray this in your son's name. Amen. We turn and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stop right there and we'll get him up here. Thank you, Pastor. Those words are very meaningful to us all here, and we appreciate it. We really do. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you may join Pastor Philbeck in the South Ante room for a photo and make his acquaintance. Members, our doctor of the day is brought to us by Representative Matt Reeves. It's Dr. Indran Indrakriskan. And we appreciate our doctor being with us today and taking care of us and serving our needs. If you get a chance, go by and give the doctor your thanks. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And on another note, don't let someone who has given up on their dreams talk you out of yours.
I like that. As always, you're right there with the encouragement that we need. Thank you for that, Chairman Tarvin. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business under the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there an objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1294 by Representative Perkle, the 169th Green and the 154th. Werkheiser, the 157th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 23, Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia Environmental Finance Authority.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 1295 by Representative Perkle, the 169th. Jones, the 25th. Corbett, the 174th. And Williams, the 148th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to horns, exhaust systems, and mirrors.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1296 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Ballinger of the 23rd, New of the 64th, Saints of the 180th, Montana of the 17th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 39 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to online internet safety.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1297 by Representative Thomas the 21st, Clark of the 100th, Bonner the 73rd, Barrett of the 24th, Ridley the 22nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3, Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to state and other flags.
Special rules.
House Bill 1298 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Burchett of the 176th, Williams of the 148th. Bill be titled an act to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the probate court of Brooks County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1299 by Representative Reese of the 140th Green and the 154th, Maynard of the 56th, Lallier of the 59th, Buckner of the 137th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2 of Title 44 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to recording relative to property.
Judiciary. Judiciary.
House Bill 1300 by Representative Prince for the 132nd, a bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 48.5, 32.1 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to certification of assessed tax value. Yes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1301 by Representative Mathiak of the 74th, Campbell of the 135th, Hawkins of the 27th, and Bennett of the 94th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to control of hazardous conditions.
Health.
House Bill 1302 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Hawkins of the 27th, New of the 64th, Oliver of the 82nd, Hughley of the 141st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 4, Title 49 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Health.
House Bill 1304 by Representative Clark of the 108th and Holly of the 116th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 21-2, 385 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for voting by absentee ballot.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 1305 by Representative Clark of the 108th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2, Title 21 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to primaries and elections generally.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 1306 by Representative Clark of the 108th and Sharper of the 177th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 13 to Title 16 and Part 3 of Article 16 to Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation of controlled substances.
Education.
House Bill 1307 by Representative Holly of the 116th, O'Lallier of the 59th, Douglas of the 78th, Reese of the 140th, and Bruce of the 61st. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 5 of Title 42 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to conditions of detention generally.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 1308 by Representative Holly of the 116th, Bell of the 75th, Hutchinson of the 106th, Glaze of the 167th, Park of the 107th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 3, Title 44 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation of specialized land transactions.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1309 by Representative Clark of the 108th, Bell of the 75th, Willis of the 55th, Barnes of the 86th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 24.9.923 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to admissibility of photographs.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 1310 by Representative Moore of the 91st. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to health.
Health.
House Bill 1311 by Representative Moore of the 91st and Cummings of the 39th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 13A of Title 19 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating dating violence protective orders.
Judiciary.
House Resolution 1154 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and Scoggins of the 14th. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Gene R. Tilley and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1155 by Representative Alexander of the 66th, Bruce of the 61st, Thomas of the 65th, and New of the 64th. A resolution honoring Mr. Scott Hudson and dedicating an intersection in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1162 by Representative Stinson of the 150th, Abstration of the 104th, Burchett of the 176th, Carson of the 46th, Camp of the 135th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Michael Anthony Woodall and dedicating an intersection in his memory.
Transportation. Mr.
House.
Clerk, will you suspend just a minute? Mr. Clerk, continue, please.
House Resolution 1163 by Representative Moore of the 91st, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill. 212 by Senator Burns of the 23rd, Gooch of the 51st, Anderson of the 24th, Summers of the 13th, Hickman of the 4th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 9 and Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to probate courts.
Governmental Affairs.
Senate Bill 322 by Senator Walker of the 20th, Gooch of the 51st, Anna DeVart of the 31st, Albers of the 56th, Summers of the 13th. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 16 and Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Sheriff's Retirement Fund of Georgia.
Retirement.
Senate Bill 341 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Dolezal of the 27th, Brass of the 28th, Anna DeVart of the 31st, and Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend various titles of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated so as to revise committee names.
Governmental Affairs.
Senate Bill 436 by Senator Watson of the 11th, Goodman of the 8th, Anderson of the 24th, Walker of the 20th, Ginn of the 47th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1B of Article 13 of Chapter 6 and Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the operation of farm-use vehicles.
Motor Vehicles.
Senate Bill 448 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, Strickland of the 17th, Kennedy of the 18th, Gooch of the 51st. Bill be titled an act to amend the Official Code of Georgia Annotated so as to revise, modernize, and correct errors.
Code Revision.
Senate Bill 467 by Senator Williams of the 25th. The bill be titled an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Baldwin County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
Senate Bill 468 by Senator Williams of the 25th. The bill be titled an act to amend and act creating a Board of Commissioners of Baldwin County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1279 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Draper of the 90th, Clark of the 108th, Miller of the 62nd, Owl of the 50th, and others. A bill relating to primaries and elections. House Bill 1280 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Smith of the 138th, Reese of the 140th, Buckner of the 137th. A bill to create the Muskogee County School District. House Bill 1281 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Smith of the 138th, Reese of the 140th, Buckner of the 137th. A bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Recorder's Court of Columbus, Georgia. House Bill 1282 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Smith of the 138th, Reese of the 140th, Buckner of the 137th. A bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Probate Court of Muskogee County. House Bill 1283 by Representative Persinger of the 119th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Smith of the 18th, and others. A bill relating to definitions regarding the Juvenile Code. House Bill 1284 by Representative Daniel of the 117th, Crow of the 118th, Vance of the 133rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Collins of the 71st, and others. A bill relating to school buses for elementary and secondary education. House Bill 1285 by Representative McCollum of the 30th, Hitchens of the 161st, Jones of the 47th, Fleming of the 114th, Hilton of the 48th, and others. A bill relating to horns, exhaust systems, mirrors, windshields, tires, safety belts, and energy absorption systems. House Bill 1286 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, Cannon of the 172nd, Williams of the 148th, LaHood of the 175th, Rhodes of the 124th. A bill relating to the Georgia Hemp Farming Act. House Bill 1287 by Representative Bell of the 75th, Clark of the 108th, Washburn of the 144th, Daniel of the 117th, McGall of the 105th, and others. A bill relating to regulation of specialized land transactions relative to property. House Bill 1288 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Gilliard of the 162nd, Reeves of the 99th, Gunter of the 8th, Hong of the 103rd, and others. A bill relating to general provisions for municipal courts. House Bill 1289 by Representative Gunter of the 8th, Anderson of the 10th, Jaspers of the 11th. A bill relating to driving on the right side of the roadway, overtaking and passing, following too closely. House Bill 1290 by Representative Bazemore of the 69th, Beverly of the 143rd, Lim of the 98th, Mitchell of the 88th, Hughley of the 141st. A bill relating to competencies and core curriculum under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 1291 by Representative Franklin of the 160th, Fry of the 122nd, Washburn of the 144th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Camp of the 135th, and others. A bill relating to revenue and taxation. House Bill 1292 by Representative Okoye of the 102nd, Burns of the 159th, Upstration of the 104th, Beverly of the 143rd, Reeves of the 99th, and others. A bill relating to recordation and registration of deeds and other instruments. House Bill 1293 by Representative Yerta of the 152nd, Smith of the 138th, Dubnik of the 29th, Crow of the 118th, Hagan of the 156th, and others. A bill relating to management of budgetary and financial affairs. House Bill 1303 by Representative Stinson of the 150th, Corbett of the 174th, Perkel of the 169th, Green of the 154th, Paris of the 142nd. A bill relating to special license plates promoting or supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. House Resolution 1134 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Draper of the 90th, Clark of the 108th, Miller of the 62nd, Owl of the 50th, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that the people of the state of Georgia shall have the power to enact, repeal, and amend general statutory law by direct initiative and referendum process. House Resolution 1135 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Hatchett of the 155th, Jaspers of the 11th, and Ilowitz of the 42nd, Powell of the 33rd, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on credit card fees on state sales and excise tax and their impact on Georgia merchants and consumers. House Resolution 1136 by Representative Beverly of the 143rd, Galliard of the 162nd, Neal of the 79th, Stevens of the 164th, and Lulowitz of the 42nd, and others. Resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to authorize the Georgia General Assembly to provide by general law for sports betting, pari-mutuel betting, and casino gambling in this state. Senate Bill 349 by Senator Hofstetler of the 52nd, Alberts of the 56th, Evez of the 6th, Eccles of the 49th, and Navarte of the 31st, and others. A bill relating to ad valorem taxation of property. Senate Bill 430 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th, Watson of the 1st, Gooch of the 51st, Robertson of the 29th, Gann of the 47th, and others. A bill relating to COVID-19 pandemic business safety. Senate Bill 443 by Senator Watson of the 1st, Strickland of the 17th, Tillery of the 19th, Brass of the 28th, Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill relating to abatement of nuisances generally. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination and Locals, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination and Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House, has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1229 do pass. House Bill 1230 do pass. House Bill 1236 do pass. House Bill 1241 do pass. House Bill 1242 do pass. House Bill 1243 do pass. House Bill 1286 do pass. House Bill 1248 do pass. House Bill 1249 do pass. House Bill 1250 do pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Jay Collins of the 71st District, Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 957 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1165 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jay Collins, 71st District, Chairman. Representative Alan Powell, 33rd District, Chairman of the Committee on Regulated Industries, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Regulated Industries has had under its consideration following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 598 do pass. House Bill 880 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1050 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1096 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1175 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Alan Powell, 33rd District, Chairman. Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means has had under its consideration following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with following recommendations. House Bill 403 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1090 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1116 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1167 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
If members will please come to the floor and take your seats, we will take up the local calendar. Three bills on the local calendar relate to homestead exemption and require a recorded two-thirds roll call vote for passage. All members, if you'll come to the floor. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 1229 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th City of Dalton. House Bill 1230 by Representative Green of the 154th City of Edison. House Bill 1236 by Representative New of the 64th Douglas County. House Bill 1241 by Representative Stoner of the 40th City of Smyrna. House Bill 1242 by Representative Neal of the 79th Clayton County. House Bill 1243 by Representative Anulowitz of the 42nd Cobb County. House Bill 1246 by Representative Anulowitz of the 42nd Cobb County. House Bill 1248 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd Elbert County. House Bill 1249 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd Elbert County. House Bill 1250 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd Elbert County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills will vote on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the local calendar, the yeas are 167, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. Members, if I can have your attention, members will please take your seats. We have an important that we do most every year, invite resolution. And we're going to proceed with the invite resolution at this time. Mr. Clerk, will you read a resolution?
House Resolution 829 by Representative Dickey, the 145th, Huddleston, the 72nd, Mathiak of the 149th, Mathis, the 149th, Hagan, of the 156th, Mathiak, the 74th, and others. A resolution commending the Georgia FFA Association and recognizing February 20th, 2024 as FFA Day at the state capitol.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The chairman of the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee is recognized to speak to the resolution and make some introductions. Chairman Robert Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. It's my great pleasure to introduce these FFA members. Today's FFA Day at the Capitol, and many of you hopefully have seen these young people in their blue coats around the Capitol today. I hope you'll take time to talk to them. So proud of what we're doing with ag education in our schools, and thank you for your support for that program. It really turns out some wonderful young people who have a great future in front of them due to that program. And so I'm going to turn it over to Macy Goodman here, and she's going to say a few words on their behalf.
Yeah, thank y'all for having us here today. We are so proud to be able to represent over 80,000 FFA members in our state of Georgia. Throughout today, you see FFA members all over the Capitol, and I want you all to know that you are giving all of us a chance in the 80,000 FFA members to really see how things work and getting us a chance to get a glimpse of a portion in our FFA motto, which states living to serve. So yes, we are just privileged to have all of y'all here that advocate for us and that are here for us. So thank y'all for everything you do once again, and thank you for having us.
Good, thank you.
Members, thank you for that. Ms. Goodman, thank you for being here with your colleagues in FFA, and thank you for those words. I know of no other organization, I don't believe, is impactful on the youth of our communities and our country's future than FFA. So thank you. We appreciate all of you being there. And thank you for those members that are up in the gallery from FFA. We are glad to have y'all as well. We have, as I like to say, a whole slew of morning orders this morning. A whole slew there, Representative Williams. I knew you would know what I was talking about. So we're going to take them up. And we're going to look at, we have some friends in the gallery that we'll, these members will recognize. So we're going to try to do that right now. So I'm going to begin morning orders with Representative Chairman Yoder, Dean Green, Representative Gaines, Representative Gamble, Chairman Prince. And we're going to talk about Georgia Hearing Day. Gentlemen, if you'll come to the well. Members, if you'll give the members in the well your attention. Who's going to speak for this group? What'd you say? Chairman Yoder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize February 20th, 2024 as Georgia Hearing Day at the state capitol. Hearing plays a crucial role in communication, personal relationships, and overall health outcomes. Hearing loss is tied to cognitive decline, dementia, falls, depression, and isolation. Hearing loss can also be a symptom of underlying medical conditions. Noise-induced hearing is preventable and significant, though often unrecognized, and a health problem in adults. And a growing problem we also have is adolescents with overamplification of personal listening devices. 37 million American adults report hearing trouble, and 28.2 million adults could benefit from the use of hearing aids. With us today in the gallery, we have some members of Georgia's Society of Hearing Professionals, including hearing aid specialists and audiologists. Y'all please stand, if you would, in the gallery. Let's give them a hand. Thank you for the great job you do for citizens of Georgia.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Parrish and Representative Franklin, Chairman Hitchens, you're welcome to join these gentlemen in the well and Chairman Stevens, that's right, you've got part of this as well. So, Chairman Parrish, you're recognized for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd want to recognize a group of great young leaders joining us here today. And with us are representatives of the Georgia Southern University Student Government Association. With us is Student Body President Blake Robinson, Vice President of Academic Affairs Nydia Enoch, Speaker of the Senate Gabriel Ratliff, Senator of the College of Education on the Statesboro campus Joshua Parker, and Senator at Large on the Armstrong campus Roe Nelson. These young people advocate for the student body and actively work to make sure that every student's voice matters. Just like the work we do here in the building at Georgia Southern, they make sure the needs of the students are met. One way they do this is through the Eagles for Eagles Fund, which is a donation-only fund that supports students in dire financial need. Through this kind of support, students are able to continue their education and grow into the citizens that keep this state great. On behalf of the Georgia Southern delegation, we want to welcome them to the People's House. And would y'all stand so that we can properly recognize you?
Go Eagles!
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, representatives from Southeast Georgia. Representative Reeves is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for welcoming Dr. Indran Krishnan, the Doctor of the Day, a few moments ago. I'd like to follow up and recognize him. He has served as Doctor of the Day for 15 times. He has attended hundreds of members of the state capitol community over the years. He is a gastroenterologist near Gwinnett, Lawrenceville. He is an adjunct at Emory and PCOM medical schools. He has been a Rainbow Village nonprofit leader, as well as a leader in many nonprofits in the area. He serves on the State Board of Healthcare Workforce, and he makes the Gwinnett County community and Georgia's healthcare community strong. I have a resolution for him that recognizes him for his leadership in healthcare, and he is in the gallery, so I would ask you to welcome the Doctor of the Day, Dr. Indran Krishnan. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Doctor, for taking care of us. We appreciate you being here. Representative Draper and Representative Crawford is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Crawford and I stand to recognize the Cedar Grove High School football team, the 2023 Class 3A Georgia State Champions. Yes, yes. So let me tell you just a little bit about the Saints. The Saints won their title on December 13th, 2023 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, defeating the then number 4 ranked Savannah Christian Raiders 49-28. Their state football championship is the 5th title overall for the Saints football program and the 5th in 8 seasons. They were state champions in 2016, 2018, 2019, and 2021 as well. This tradition of excellence is hard-earned. These young men have shown dedication, hard work, and resilience to get to where they are today. And these skills will take them far on the football field and beyond. In addition, these young athletes have been surrounded by incredible leaders and mentors. Here with us today is Cedar Grove High School Principal Clifton Spears. If you could please stand, sir. Head football coach John Adams. If you could please just stand as I say your name. Athletic Director Shawanda Patillo, and Saints team managers Nyala Phelps, Heaven Williams, and Summer Willis. Thank you so much for your leadership. And then if I could please have the young men, the young players stand as well for one final recognition. You make us so proud. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We yield the well.
Congratulations, quite the accomplishment. Welcome to the People's House. Representative Sharper, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Speaker.
And are y'all joining the gentleman in the well?
Yes, sir.
Well, a distinguished group. Yes, you're welcome to join him.
All right, you guys, I have a very, very special, I have the honor to recognize someone who's here with us today. Travis Malloy, if you guys seen The Color Purple, he was a part of that soundtrack, as well as the Million, Billions, Trillions movement, is also producer and artist. If you guys think I can sing, just multiply that times 1,000, and that's who he is. And he also have the ASCAP Awards, Grammy nominations, worked with several people. His latest album, Manifestation, with people like John P. Key, Fred Hammond, you have Leandra Johnson. You have so many people on there that's doing a great job in the music industry. So we're very, very proud for him to be here. Also, he's gonna have the Manifestation Summit here in Atlanta. And it's a great story that 6 years ago, he was sleeping in his car. But now today, producing all over the country, one of the most sought after in the music business. So as we get ready, I want Travis Malloy, who has agreed to take some photos with us after he's finished. We're also gonna do a presentation on the South Wings at 12 noon. But if you don't mind, let's welcome the one and only Travis Malloy to the Georgia State House. Give him a big hand. And he will be singing Thursday night at the GLBC Heritage Dinner. Thank you so much, Travis. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Welcome. Representative Douglas, Chairlady Camp, y'all are recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to recognize February 20th as Clayton State Day here at the Capitol. We have the Clayton State University here. I'll pause for you.
Now you have your team. Wait a minute. I have one more coming.
They're still coming.
They're still, okay, now you're ready. Now you're ready. No, you're not.
Uh-oh. Thought I was.
Now you're ready.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like I said in the beginning, it's Clayton State Day, February 20th. They're under the leadership of Dr. George Lewis. I think he is the 6th permanent president of Clayton State University. Did they make it over from the Senate? Clayton State, are you in the white jackets? Can you please stand? We have about 2,000 students, dental hygienists. So don't you guys forget about Clayton State. If you want to be a nurse or a dental hygienist, we have a very robust program there in our county. So once again, we thank you and honor you today. Let's give it up for the Lakers, Clayton State University. I yield the well.
I know y'all are very proud of the program at Clayton State. I've spoken to your president many times about it. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for what you're going to do for your neighbors in the future. And welcome to the People's House. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you. Representative Reese, Representative Sampson, Representative Buckner, Chairman Chokus, Dean Green, Representative Stinson, Representative Parrish, and Leader Beverly, recognized for a morning order.
I'm doing all these, right?
Yeah, at the end.
Where's Parrish? Where's Miriam?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Give my colleague a little time to get down here. Yes, ma'am. As you all know, we are here for 3 months out the year doing the business of the people of this great state of Georgia. However, we have local leaders that have responsibilities that are 12 months out of the year, and every day they are working hard for the same constituents that we serve. And when they come here to our state capitol, we must do our due diligence in recognizing those that work so hard for us today. So we have some local leaders that are here from the West Central Georgia, South Georgia area that we want to recognize today. We're going to ask them to stand up, and we're going to get Representative Sampson to recognize them, and Representative Parrish.
Good morning again, everybody. From Talbot County, Mr. Tim Turner. From Chattahoochee County, Damon Hoyt. Commissioner Damon Hoyt. From Early County, Mayor Travis Winbush. Mr. Jeffrey Hayes. And from Sumter County, Ms. Nicole Smith.
And America's Jill Harrison. Jill Harrison.
And from Oglethorpe, Georgia, Jill Harrison.
And from the great state of Macon-Bibb, Mr. Josh Billings. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you again to our local leaders that are here with us today. If you would join us down in the anti-room for some photos, please. We yield the well, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you all for being here. Representative Rhonda Taylor is recognized for a morning order. And Representative Kendrick, Representative Clark.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I come to the well this morning to recognize some distinguished guests in our gallery today. Help me recognize Leadership Rockdale. Would you all please stand? Leadership Rockdale strives to empower and encourage existing and emerging leaders that are prepared to serve the Rockdale County community. The program provides an opportunity for the individuals to hone their leadership skills and network with leaders across the community and beyond. And they focus on 8 different areas, including their focus today, which is on state government. We are happy to have the 2024 Rockdale Leadership Class in the chambers with us today, and welcome to your house.
Welcome. Good to have you all. A lot of good things going on in Rockdale County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Frazier. Members, if you'll give the lady in the well your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I need for everyone that's here today that's experiencing hair loss, baldness, Al Williams, come on up. And all of my brothers that has no hair. Recognizing February the 20th, come on up, Al, 24 as National Epidemic and Global Pandemic Hair Loss Day in Georgia. The National Trichology Training Institute conducted medical research and collected statistics that indicate hair loss affects over 100 million individuals globally. And we have a group of, let me pronounce it right, trichologists that are here today visiting your state capitol. The National Trichologist Training Institute was approved in December the 10th, 2010 as the only African-American owned trichology healthcare institute in the U.S. and in Georgia. I'm hoping that we have Ms. Connie Jernigan Judge, the founder here, if they're still here and not, oh! Yay. We'd like to welcome you all here, and today you have a lot of clients in here, pretty much 3/4 of us. And so we are thankful that you're here today and all that you do. And we will see you afterward because everybody here needs some oil or something to help us out a little bit. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Representative. You know we have the lights turned down to half brightness in here because the reflection off of these heads magnifies that. It's kind of blinding up here sometimes when they turn their heads just right, I can tell you. Representative Stinson is recognized. The lady will hold just for a moment. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Representatives, 2024 is a very special year across the state of Georgia and our country. And the reason being, because in 1964, the Economic Opportunity Act was born. And it was a commitment by President Lyndon Johnson to address poverty root causes, inspired by the comprehensive vision articulated once again by President Johnson and the spirit of social justice championed by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Community Action Program was born. For 60 years, community action agencies across the nation have been a beacon of hope, empowering individuals, alleviating poverty, and fostering the development of stronger communities. And we're so very proud to have in our gallery today, Mr. Speaker and members of the House, representatives of the Georgia Community Action Association. And we're going to ask if they will stand as I call their names. We're so very proud to have with us in our midst David Bradley, who is the National Executive Director for the National Community Action Foundation, Association Foundation. If you would please stand. He came all the way down from Washington, D.C. to be with us here in Georgia. So very proud to have Treese Hamilton with Brunswick. She's the president of the Georgia Association Community Action. Consuela Thompson, who serves as the executive director for the Georgia Community Action Association. And Dr. Grant, we're going to ask if all of them will please stand. Dr. Grant from Fulton County. We have Middle Georgia Community Action Association represented and West Central Georgia Community Action Association. So ladies and gentlemen of the House, will you please stand and welcome members of the Georgia Community Action Association from D.C. as well as here in Georgia to the Georgia State Capitol. Savannah is represented. We're so glad to have Savannah, Brunswick, Middle Georgia, Liberty County, Macon, Georgia, Macon be up economic development. We are so Economic Opportunity Council. They are awesome, Mr. Speaker, and we're so very grateful for all the work that they're doing to help our constituents across the great state of Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You're welcome. I thought you were going to name all 159 there just for a minute. Just saying. Representative Schofield, members, please give your attention to the lady in the well. And if you have a cape on, please join the lady in the well. Give the lady your attention. Very important annual announcement as we bring attention to lupus. And gentlemen,
She's coming. I'll put the coat on. She's coming.
remember the admonition from.
I have a cold. Yes.
Remember the admonition, not in front of the speaker. Give her your need back, not in front of the speaker. Representative Williams will get upset. We don't want to have that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, colleagues, and guests. I just thank you guys. Today is Lupus Awareness Day, Lupus Advocacy Day at the Capitol. There have been members that have traveled from your district across the state, and and we are here to recognize them for the work that they do 365 days of living with lupus. So on behalf of the team that's upstairs, and we have some that are in the Senate, I would like to ask them to stand and be recognized. They are the champions in the street, but we are the champions here in this house for lupus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Schofield. Appreciate your support for lupus in this House. and welcome to the House. Thank y'all for being here. Okay. Chairman Dickey and Chair Lady Smith recognized for a morning order. Chairman Wiedauer.
Oh, there you go.
Representative Campbell. Oh, great group. Oh, and the Master Gardener himself. Chair Lady Smith.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your attention today. I feel like we're in a smorgasbord of the state of Georgia. We've heard so many wonderful recognitions today. And to that name and group, we're going to add Georgia's Master Gardeners. Some of our Master Gardeners are up there. This is a service from the University of Georgia, and this is why our University of Georgia residents are up here with me. At the University of Georgia, they have a program called the Extension Service, and it does multiple things within our whole state. But for me, I actually took the test and passed it to become a Master Gardener about 20 years ago. They reminded me of that this morning. And it's the best thing I've ever done, and it's such a resource to our communities. There's something called the Backyard Gardeners Program that any novice or a person who's killed everything they tried to grow can go to those programs and figure out what to do. So I want to take just a moment to congratulate them. This is their 45th year in Georgia, so it's their 45th anniversary, and it's the 50th anniversary nationally. So this is a phenomenal resource to our community. And I want to do a shout out as well to the University of Georgia as a land-grant university for doing what they do. So in your offices, you're going to find some basil seeds and little pods to grow basil, and you can do it. Even you guys, y'all can do it. So this is a simple thing to do. And I'm going to yield my time and then turn my time over to the next person, Robert Dickey.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. Along those lines, today's Green Day. Georgia Green Industry, many representatives are here today. From that, you should have received a plant in your offices too. And so just thank for that industry. Many of you have greenhouses, nurseries, and landscaping companies in your district. And life is really good and green in Georgia when those companies are doing well and planting sod and bushes around your businesses and houses. So thank that industry and thank them for the plants. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you to our guests today, and thanks for the plants. So we appreciate that. It brightens our offices, so thank you for being here. Representative Sheila Jones, you want to hold up a little bit on yours? Okay. I'm going to ask all members to come to the floor. Clerk, if you'll ring the bell, all members come to the floor and take your seats, please. Members will please come to the floor and take your seats. You don't need to be having any conversations. You'll need to give your attention to the lady in the well. Doorkeepers, if you'll close the back door, the front door, whichever that is, I guess that's the front door. Thank you, members. Lady from down in South Georgia, Chair Lady Penny Houston is recognized for a morning order as long as she would like.
Oh, I can talk. Thank you. Good morning. And I tell you, if I had heard the wonderful service that the minister delivered to us this morning, I would probably have rewritten my speech. But I just want the thing for y'all to remember, confession is good for the soul. And I'm going to make some confessions. I know it's hard to believe, but I have been lying about my age since I was 15 years old. I grew up in a small town, Leary, Georgia, in South Georgia, in Calhoun County, and it's part of my friend Gerald Green's district, but he was not the representative when I was 15, but soon after that. But anyway, in a rural area, the state patrols only came to the county once a month, and they came to Calhoun County early in the month, and I was still 15. So I was going to be 16 later in the month, so my dad took me over to Morgan. I got my driver's license and lied. And it did not catch up with me until I went to get my Social Security. And my driver's license and birth certificate did not say the same thing. But I was a politician then, and they know politicians don't lie, so I got it straightened out. But anyway, and I know it's hard for y'all to believe, but I have served under 7 speakers. Speaker Murphy, Speaker Coleman, Speaker Richardson, Speaker Burkhalter, Speaker Ralston, and the first woman Speaker of the House, Speaker Jan Jones, and Speaker Burns. And I want you to know, when we got Speaker Burns, we got 2 for 1 when we got Burns and Dale. And I don't know where she is, but the people of Georgia need to thank her for all she's doing. I know some of y'all might not believe this, but this area over next to the Speaker's office, that was a smoking room. And we had so many friends we made on both sides of the aisle smoking, and we bonded. We bonded and told off-color jokes and had the best time. That's where you went for the fun, in the smoking room. And I know you're going to take this hard to believe, but I guess it was about the first year or so I was here. You know, abortion wasn't a topic for women. But what really was a topic for women was that state health benefit plan did not pay for birth control. Now, they told us this, whether it was true or not. We were at the age, if it was in the paper, you believed it, now you don't. But they had told us that it paid for Viagra, but not birth control. So we passed a bill. We passed a bill in the House that it would pay for birth control, and it was not going to pass the Senate. And Speaker Murphy was here, and Speaker Murphy called all the women, Republican, Democrat, and said, y'all come with us. And so we trotted behind him, and he took us over to the Senate, and he said, now line the wall. And we just lined the wall with women, and he started calling senators over there one by one. And it passed. And so then Speaker Murphy said, I want every woman representative to be in my conference room right now. And we marched like little chickens, right behind the speaker. We got there, and everybody sat down, and he passed out cigars, and we all had to smoke. And that was the first cigar I had ever smoked. But, I know that some of you are not going to believe this, but if the good people in my district reelected me and honored me by being a representative. When I finish the term, I have lied, and I would be 81 years old. and I just, I got to thinking about it, and it is time to go home. It is time to go back and be with my family. I have 6 grandchildren who've never known anything from me about being a representative. And, you know, we talked about dying and everything. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, but I want to die in South Georgia. But no plans for it either. But I have had I cannot tell you what a wonderful experience this has been. And the friends I've made will last a lifetime. I've told some of the younger men in here, and I have to look at one, that, you know, they've got to remember that the shelf life of a representative is about 48 hours, and not to take that, you know, to remember that. But I should have added that if you're a representative, your shelf life with another fellow representative is a lifetime, and that we are indeed families. And this has been a wonderful experience. And I've got so many friends through the years I'd like to remember, but I'm afraid if I named a few, I might leave somebody out, and then they wouldn't be my friends anymore. So if you're not dead, I'm not going to name you. But one of the greatest women I've ever known walked up to me the first day that I was in the House of Representatives, and she had on 5-inch heels before it was popular to wear 5-inch heels, and that was my dear friend Jeanette Jameson. And she employed some of her wisdom on me about how to, things that were going on in the House, and I'll have to put that in a book. I can't stand up here and tell it. But I had the privilege for years of sitting next to John Meadows. And I voted John Meadows' machine more than he did because he never sat in your seat. But we got to be such good friends. And Jay Shaw, Jay Powell, and I, all three had the greatest passion for rural Georgia. And we bonded with that. And of course, David Ralston, Speaker Tom Murphy, and my friend Richard Smith. I've had a passion for people with deaf and hard of hearing. And I've worked years ago to get some different bills passed, and had it not been for the compassion of Richard Smith, none of these bills would have gone. And I'll always be grateful for him for what he did and for the friendship he's shown us. And if I've left anybody out, I am sorry. But I just could not, I'm not going to go home and do nothing. Now, my passion was deaf and hard of hearing, but as my seatmate and friend knows, my passion now is dental care for rural Georgia. And I plan to go home and advocate to have good dental care for rural Georgia. And that is my plan. I'm not going to sit there and not be heard. I love the people that I've represented, and I'm so honored that they gave me this privilege. And I'm going to be there for them, and I want to be with them, and I love them, and I love this state, and I love you, and may God continue to bless America. And one other person, the staff here that have supported me through the years, and the House Budget Office. And I don't want to call them staffs, I want to call them friends. We have bonded. We have the best people working in this Capitol. And I just want to thank them for their friendship and support. And most of all, I hope I have been a voice for rural Georgia. And I have tried to be a voice for people who don't have a voice. And there are a lot of folks in this state who have no voice. And I hope I've been a voice for him. And thank y'all for serving. God bless you. I love you, and God bless America.
Miss Penny, as I've heard you called very lovingly any number of times, and a couple other things I've heard. But I certainly do not know in my lifetime and my service here of anyone who showed more compassion for their fellow man, whether they be in South Georgia, rural Georgia, or anywhere in Georgia, than you have. Because you care. You care about the members of this house. You've cared about the members of this house for a number of years, and I know the members here respond to your caring by embracing you and certainly paying attention to you. I've seen you move some positive initiatives across the goal line without a problem. And I've also seen you create the death knell for some other, with just a couple of words from right over there. So, and I think that just demonstrates the respect and admiration that the members of this body have had from you in the past, members that are not here anymore, but certainly the new members that are here now, certainly, and those of us that have been here for a few years have grown to respect your wisdom, but also your caring. And I think when you pair those two together, it's a very powerful tool. And what I heard her say in her remarks was something that struck me when she said, "I'm not going to sit there and not be heard." I said, "That's the truth." She will not sit there. She won't go home and not be heard. I know you will continue to be a champion. And we're excited about a dental school down in South Georgia that is in our budget. We're excited about that. And I know is and has been one of your passions. So we look forward to certainly keeping you involved on that great project. But again, it's a bittersweet day for this house when a member that has meant so much to Georgia makes this kind of announcement. But it's a sweet day because we know that you will enjoy life as you have over the years with your family, with your grandchildren, and your community. And we look forward to continuing your good work for the people of Georgia.
Well, thank you so much. You're going to make me cry, and I do have a few suggestions for the dental school.
We will follow those, I'm sure. Thank you, members. Thank you. Thank you, Penny, for your service to our state. We're going to attempt to move on to the rules calendar. We'll move on to the rules calendar. I know you all want to have a photo with Chair Lady Houston, and we know she is dressed very beautifully today, as she always is, so we're looking forward to you having a photo and a conversation over the next few days as she completes her term during this session. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bills? Well, let's just pause for a minute, Mr. Clerk. Let's give the members a chance to greet and have a word with Chair Lady Houston. House will stand at ease just for a few moments. Ring the bell, Mr. Clerk. Okay, members, if you will, please take your seats. Representative Sheila Jones is recognized for a morning order. Give the lady in the well your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. Today is CAU, Clark Atlanta University Day at the Capitol. You may see many people here with the school colors red and black on today. Clark Atlanta University is now under the leadership of President George T. French, Jr. President French, I attended Clark College in the late 70s. That is where I pledged Sigma chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and I later became president of my chapter. I was part of the Marching Panthers, and I lived on campus in the bird cage. And later I became Miss UNCF. I have fond memories of my days at Clark College. President George T. French, Jr. of Clark Atlanta University, the president has received the largest unrestricted donation in the university's history from Mackenzie Scott, totaling $15 million. CAU is one of the top performers on social mobility in the nation. CAU School of Education is ranked as the #3 school of education in the state of Georgia. CAU School is ranked #5 and is the first of social work to be accredited in the state of Georgia, according to the most recent U.S. News and World Report. At this time, I would like to ask you to stand as I call your name, and the members of the House welcome you. President George T. French, Jr., will you please stand? First Lady, Dr. Bashir French, Provost Dr. Charlene Gilbert, Associate Vice President of Governmental Affairs, Marshall J. Taggart, Jr., and Andrew Long of A.R. Long Company. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
It's a good day. Welcome, Clark Atlanta. Welcome, Andrew. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you all for being with us. Okay, members, we'll move on to the rules calendar. We have several bills. I'll go ahead and give you a heads up. We're going to not rush. We're going to consider the rules calendar, but we will move on through the rules calendar and tend to the remainder of the business that we have for the day before we adjourn. So with that, Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 793?
House Bill 793 by Representative Barton of the 5th and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10A of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to licensing provisions regarding professional counselors, social workers, and marriage and family therapists so as to authorize applicants for a license in social work enrolled in a master's degree program. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
The gentleman from the 5th, Representative Barton, is recognized to present the bill. Representative Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I have with me House Bill 793. This bill simply just takes a speed bump out of the way so that social workers that are getting their master's degree can take the licensing test the last semester of school. And that way they can hit the road running. And that's simply the only change is no other requirements are changed. That's it, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman, yield for a question.
Sure.
To your left, Representative Jasmine Clark
Thank you,
has
Mr.
a
Speaker.
question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So with this, is there any scenario where a person might not get their master's, but they do pass the test? So they're technically board certified without having the degree?
Not to my understanding. You have to have all of that to be a licensed social worker.
Thank you.
Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir.
Representative Maynard to your right
Thank you, Mr.
is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that Clark Atlanta, which is in my district, is downstairs today and their social work program was here and they adamantly support this bill?
It's a lady so states.
Thank you.
Gentleman has one further question.
Yes, sir.
Representative McLean to your left and the back. Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Always to my seatmate.
Oh, like that. This bill, I heard you say running. So do you have to you leave the ground running, or can you just walk?
Yes, sir. You can do it either way you would like to do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good question. Good answer. Thank you.
I'm glad y'all worked that out before you came to the well.
I yield the will, Mr. Speaker.
Excellent choice. Is there an objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 793, the yeas are 167, the nay is 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 987?
House Bill 987 by Representative Cannon, the 172nd, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 22-165 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to equalization grants, annual calculations, and allocations so as to revise the definition of the term qualified local school system. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
I know this gentleman knows a little bit about local government. Representative Chaz Cannon is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Ms. Penny, I'm going to miss you greatly. Colleagues, I rise today to bring you House Bill 987. Most of y'all are familiar with your local government raising or lowering their millage rates, and in some cases that happens when local property values or assessments rise or fall. And in response to that, the local government on an annual basis adjusts the millage rate up or down, we hope down, so that enough revenues from taxes are generated to cover expenses. That is basically what this bill does with respect to eligibility for equalization grants. The current threshold for state equalization grants was set 5 years ago in 2019 at 14 mills. Now, the basic purpose of this millage threshold is to ensure that a local school system is taxing their local citizens for their fair share of K-12 education dollars. And for 2019, this body set the baseline mill threshold for equalization eligibility at 14 mills. However, there are two components for determining taxation at the local level. One is the millage rate, of course. Number two is the value of property, which is called the Tax Digest. Well, since 2019, as most of you know, we've seen property values, aka the Tax Digest, rise, in some cases significantly. According to the Department of Audits and Accounts, in 2019, when the 14 mil threshold was established, the total assessed value of property across the state was $466 billion. Last year, in 2023, it was $641 billion, a 23% increase in value and likely higher if we had today's current values. In 2019, total revenue from property tax was $12.7 billion. Last year, $17.3 billion, a 26% increase, and again, likely higher if we had today's values and current numbers for 2024. But here's the key: there's been no adjustment of the 14 mil threshold to accommodate for these increases over the past 5 years. In other words, as you know, in local government, there's been no rollback. So if a local school system, and there are many throughout the state, is hovering around the 14 to 16 mil threshold, and they have experienced steady increases in property values, and as a result, the school system is able to both A, contribute the same level of local dollars towards education as in previous years, and also B, has the ability to lower their millage rate. They could now stand to lose their equalization funding if they drop below the 14 mil threshold set back in 2019. As a result, there are school systems throughout the state who, even though they are able to go lower, are remaining at the required threshold of 14 mils because they don't want to put their equalization dollars at risk. And in doing so, they're passing on sometimes significant property tax increases to their citizens year after year. So what this bill does is take into account the increased property values we have seen across the state, and it lowers that 14 mil threshold set 5 years ago to a new proposed threshold of 10 mils. The bill basically lowers our millage rate to accommodate for increased property assessments, just as we might require a local government to do. It's important to note that all school systems that currently qualify for equalization dollars are above the new proposed 10 mil threshold. This bill does not address equalization or the formula for equalization. It's more of a Tax Digest bill that addresses rising property values over the past 5 years. And I apologize for the extra level of detail, but this is an important topic that not very many folks understand. I just want to try and make this clear as possible. And finally, I want to thank Speaker Pro Tem and my seatmate Chairman Irwin for their guidance in crafting this legislation. And in my best Clerk of the House voice, I'd like to recommend this bill do pass. With that, I'll take any questions, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, you explained yourself into a lot of questions, I can tell you that much. So, gentleman yields.
I yield, Mr. Speaker.
You have a question to your left. The gentleman from the 16th, Representative Kelly, is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
I do.
That was a pretty thorough explanation, but it left me with a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you say there's currently schools below the 14 mil threshold that are receiving equalization?
I did not, but there are. There are some school systems that are going below the 14 mil threshold and still receiving equalization. And so as a part of this bill, you'll see on the very back page, there's a clawback provision that basically says if you go below the new proposed 10 mil threshold, there'll be a penalty, somewhat of a penalty of 25% of your equalization dollars that they'll pull back from you after the following year. So there is a penalty now. There is no penalty in current law to address a school system that drops below the 14 mil currently.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
Minority Leader Beverly, right in front of you, has a question. Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
Just a follow-up to my dear friend, Representative Kelly's question. Do you know the school systems that are affected by this at this particular time? And I have a second part to this question.
Yes, there's several. There's about 104 school systems that are in the 14 to 16 mil threshold.
Okay. And so if we go from 14 mils to 10 mils, why is it not in this bill? So you're going to have a provision within this bill. You go below 10 mils.
Correct.
You're going to have a penalty potentially assessed.
That's correct.
Why wouldn't we tie the millage rate to a percentage of the population coming through as opposed to a hard, fast number of 10 mils?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So instead of saying it's 14 mils where we are today, we go to 10, but you're going to have population growth in Gwinnett and other areas, Cobb,
sure,
where that mill is probably going to be, you know, in the next 5-7 years, that's going to be a problem as well.
Sure.
Why not tie the millage rate to a percentage of the population that's either coming in or leaving a county?
Well, the millage rate's tied to the tax digest. That's how we assess property taxes. So, I mean, I agree at some point we may have to revisit this number and drop it either lower or raise it up. But I think based on the assessments that have increased over the last 5 years, that's why it needs to be lowered down to 10, because to accommodate for those increases.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, yield to Chairman Corbett to your extreme right in the corner.
Yes, sir, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that this bill has the potential to lower property taxes for thousands of Georgia citizens across the state? Is that not true?
That is true.
Thank you for the bill.
Chair Lady Houston to your right has a question.
Is it not true that property values are going up more in rural areas with farmers than the money that the farmers make to feed you?
The lady knows of what she speaks.
And is it not true if we don't do away with some of these restrictions on farmland, we can all go hungry? Thank you for having this bill.
The lady knows of what she speaks.
To your left, Representative Becky Evans has a question. If you'll yield.
I will yield.
The lady is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So isn't it true that you and I discussed this legislation, and I had some questions. Isn't it true that in DeKalb County, our millage rate is, I told you, is the second highest in the state, I think
That's
like
correct.
21%?
That's correct.
And in the course of our discussion, isn't it true that I learned that many of the counties with this lower millage rate do not give senior homestead tax, senior school, tax exemptions?
That's correct. It will be up to the county to do that.
Right,
yes.
the other counties, yes. So in DeKalb and in many of the urban counties, we do give property tax exemptions, significant ones to our seniors, and so that might be a reason, one of the reasons why we have higher millage rates. But
Could be.
But would the gentleman like to explain, like, your reasoning when you said why in your county you don't give senior tax exemptions?
Sure. When you basically carve out a section of property that's not raised or is not assessed properly or not assessed over time, then that will certainly impact your millage rate because you're not getting the tax digest as high as it could go.
Right.
Some of the property is being removed from taxation, and as a result, the digest is lowered. When you lower your digest, multiply it times the millage rate, you come up with a number. If it's a higher tax digest, same thing, multiply it times the millage rate, you get a higher number. So that's the reason why.
Yes, thank you.
Gentleman has a couple other questions. If you'll yield.
I will yield.
Representative Townsend from House District 179 knows a little bit about school systems, has a question. The gentleman is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Representative, is it true that this is more about relieving property taxes for those systems that need it, those communities, those rural areas that need it the most? This has been talked about for many years, but you brought it to the table this year, and we appreciate it.
That's correct.
That took a couple of them off, so let's see. From rural Georgia to urban Georgia, Representative Hilton is recognized for a question. Representative Scott Hilton to your left.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
A couple questions. Is it not true Peachtree Corners is suburban Georgia rather than urban? Is it not true that our school systems have never been more funded than they are today, but the millage system doesn't account for property values that are rising much quicker than the rate of inflation?
That's correct. There's two components to property taxes. There's a millage rate and there's also the property tax digest.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing this bill.
Mr.
Representative Carter is recognized for a question. Did you yield the well?
I attempted to before there was communication from you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, we want to take one from Representative Doreen Carter. I like her question, so if you'll yield for one more.
Yes, Mr.
Be
Speaker.
gentle.
Oh, this is very friendly. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
First of all, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
For the reform. The Georgia Constitution puts a caps at 20 mills.
That's correct.
For millage rate, and there are few school districts, handful, that assess above that.
That's correct.
How will this legislation address that particular issue? Because what I've seen where it's supposed to be a referendum to allow you to assess a rate
More.
above
That's
the
correct.
20 mil, but in my county they don't. So how will this help or sustain that
Well,
institution.
the decision to lower millage rates is up to your Board of Education. So if and that's a function of the property tax digest, which is done by the assessor's office. If they present that to the school board's at 21 mills and they have enough digest to lower their millage rate, they can certainly lower it back down below 20. And in this case, down to 10 and still have equalization. Mr. Speaker, I yield the will.
Excellent decision. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The gentleman did yield the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 987. The yeas are 161. The nays are 12. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 995? 995.
House Bill 995 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 12 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the effectiveness of educational programs so as to require the administration of a nationally recognized multi-aptitude battery assessment that measures developed abilities. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Bonner is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise to present House Bill 995. This is legislation that was brought to us from our friends of the National Guard to help address some disparities in our recruiting numbers. The bill simply states that if there's a junior or senior in one of our high schools that wants to take the ASVAB, and that's the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and on your desk there's a handout that tells you everything you'd want to know about this assessment. The bill simply says that if there's a junior or senior that wants to take this assessment, that the school is required to make them available, and then the Department of Defense will take care of the rest. They'll administer the test, they'll provide any transportation as needed, and they will cover all the costs associated with this test. And there's also a provision in the bill that if the parent or guardian of the child does not want them to take the exam, that they're not required to do so. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'll be happy to stand for any questions.
The gentleman has a question. Representative Gladney, to your left, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you also, Mr. Chairman. Does the gentleman use the well, sir?
I do.
Sir, is it not true that during the last year in 2022, there were over 8,000 active duty servicemen and women that were discharged from the military because they had denied taking the COVID vaccine. And the Department of Defense reversed their decision, allowing them to return to the service, and only 43 of them returned. With that deficiency, we need this type of legislation in order to have that level of entries back into National Guard and Reserve service members. Is it not true?
Well, thank the lady for the question. I certainly don't doubt those numbers at all. I'm aware of the policy the Department of Defense had and then its recent change. So I appreciate you drawing attention to that. I do think that part of what this bill does is for not only for students but for parents, helps equip them with one more bit of information to help them make the right choice after they graduate from high school.
Thank you so much for bringing this legislation, sir.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration.
Gentleman had a couple more, but he's yielded the well. Is there an objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there an objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 995, the yeas are 173, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 1020?
House Bill 1020 by Representative Saints to the 180th to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48.740.1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to tax credits for business enterprises in less developed areas so as to revise the military zones that qualify for designation as less developed areas. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Small Business Development. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Saines is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to come before the floor and discuss the modification to the military zone opportunity tax credit. This bill simply modifies the credit to be eligible for use in areas that are not census tracts within a tract that has a industrial park owned and operated by a government entity. This still has a requirement that it has to be within an area that has a military garrison of at least 5,000 federal or military personnel. It just allows communities, it gives parity to those communities that can't invest on the front end to speculate where private business will occur. It makes sure our private businesses and entrepreneurs are leading in where to utilize this credit to ensure both our military veteran personnel and all our citizens within military communities have increased opportunity for jobs. It is eligible for businesses of creation of at least 2 jobs and more, so it's truly a small business and big business benefit to our Georgia economy. And with that, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You do have one question.
I yield.
Minority Leader Beverly has a question. The gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentleman yield.
I do.
So these 2 or 3 jobs that are created, could they be in less developed census tracts that are next to a place where a base may be? Or is it just specifically for the county and the jurisdiction that the base exists in?
It doesn't modify the census tract allowability. My understanding is the census tract or adjacent area. This bill does not modify the current area, it just modifies that it doesn't have to be in a tract that has a industrial park. So it expands that eligibility.
So the tract but it has to be, the tract has to be located wherever the military establishment is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
If that is how the current law stands.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Gentleman has another question from Representative Ballard.
Yield for one more.
One more. That's Representative Ballard.
Over here. Chairman Saines, will this bill, do you not agree that this bill will increase economic prosperity and job growth and creation in these military communities?
I do. Our military communities are great hosts to our personnel in Georgia, and this purely provides for both our veteran workforce, which we know is some of the highest skilled in our state and nation, as well as those neighbors that are within those communities, increased opportunity for new job growth.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the well. Thank you.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 1020, the yeas are 174, the nay is 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 946? 946.
House Bill 946 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 5A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Special District Mass Transportation Sales and Use Tax, so as to revise requirements for intergovernmental agreements. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Hawkins is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 2015, this body passed House Bill 170, creating a single county T-SPLOST. Within that bill, it contained wording that said 100% of all those entities must be in agreement and sign the IGA. This bill changes that to 50% to be able to pass the IGA. If all agree, then it goes to a 6-year IGA agreement. I've worked with ACCG and GMA on this issue, and it's nice to have those two bodies working together for once. And also, you'll see on your desk that the Georgia Chamber also supports this measure. That's the bill, Mr. Speaker. If there are no questions,
You
I'll
have a
yield the will.
question, Mr. Chairman. I think you should consider taking one.
Yes, I will.
If you want to be a chairman right on in this house. So, Pro Tem Jan Jones has a question.
Well, thank you,
Ladies
Mr.
recognized.
Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Thank you. And is it not true that I support your bill, but is it not also true that it's important to clarify that this bill will not pertain to Fulton County, which represents 10% of the state's population?
You're correct. The land of Fulton County is special.
And is it not further true that the bill doesn't pertain because of legislation that I and others worked on a number of years ago that took Atlanta to 8.9% sales tax at their request, so that they could devote 1.5% sales tax to MARTA and allow them, which they do, levy up to 0.4% for T-SPLOST, and that the remainder of Fulton County, those outside of the Atlanta borders, could levy up to 0.6% for T-SPLOST if 60% of the cities, if cities representing 60% of the population outside of Atlanta agreed to it, and they in fact have.
You are very correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, sir.
And he's yielded the well, and he's still a chairman. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? All members members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 946. The yeas are 173, the nay is 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. House Bill 424 will be postponed to the next legislative day. That completes our rules calendar. For what purpose does Representative Corbett rise?
To make a motion,
State your motion.
I move that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Corbett, the 174th, be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 2, Chapter 4, Title 12 of the official code of Georgia, annotated the Georgia Surface Mining Act of 1968, so as to provide for a 3-year moratorium.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee. Is there objection? Hearing none. Natural Resources and Environment. For what purpose does Chairman Parrish rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion, please.
State your motion.
I move that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended so a bill could be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Parrish, the 158th, to be titled an act to amend Title 31 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to health, so as revised relative to certificate of need.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and signed to committee. Is there objection? Hearing none. Health. Representative Bell, do you have a motion or a question?
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to move House Bill 990 to be moved from the Committee of Judiciary to the Committee on Non-Civil Judiciary. Both chairmen agree.
The gentleman will have to come down and have conversation in preparation for moving a bill. At this time, if you'll do that, we'll consider that.
Yes, sir.
You ready for Stevens?
Read it right now.
Ready for Stevens?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For what purpose does Chairman Stevens rise?
Mr. Speaker, I move this House temporarily suspend its rules so that a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
That's your motion. Mr. Chairman, the gentleman will withdraw the motion. It is, the bill is in the process, so we'll take it up, his motion, at a later date.
Yes, sir.
For what purpose does Representative Bell rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that House Bill 990 be moved from the Committee on Judiciary to the Committee on Non-Civil Judiciary. Both chairmen are in agreement.
The gentleman's motion is that House Bill 990 be withdrawn from Judiciary Committee and recommitted to the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee. Is that the gentleman's motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 990 by Representative Bell of the 75th to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 249-923, the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to admissibility of photographs, motion pictures, and video recordings.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 990 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Committee and recommitted to the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. We'll move on to afternoon orders. Afternoon orders. Representative Wade, you and y'all come down front. Members, if I can have your attention, please. Members, if I can have your attention. Members will need to return to their seats. We have a very difficult afternoon order. As many of you know now, some of you may not know, that we lost a state trooper this morning as he was had been called to an accident. Trooper First Class, you see his photo, Chase Redner, succumbed to his injuries. Terrible loss of a young man. Our hearts and our prayers go out to the family. I know you all join me in those thoughts. Representative Wade and some friends are recognized to honor this young gentleman. Representative Wade.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. I rise to recognize the life of one that gave that last full measure of devotion to his fellow Georgians, to serve others. I've had many texts and phone calls this morning as he was a graduate of Lumpkin County High School in 2011. District 9 that I represent, this gentleman has served his community well. The Dawson County Sheriff's Department, the Lumpkin County Sheriff's Department said that he was a great partner in his role within the Department of Public Safety with lots of folks in Dawson County and in Lumpkin. The Dawson County Sheriff's Department said that they just wanted the folks in the house to know that he was always a cherished member of the family, would always go above and beyond to help other men and women that wear the blue. The Georgia Department of Public Safety is saddened today to announce the line of duty death of Trooper First Class Chase Redner, number 290. This morning, TFC Redner was investigating a vehicle crash on Interstate 75 north near Mount Zion Boulevard in Clayton County when he was struck by a vehicle. TFC Redner was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital where he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries. The investigation is being conducted by the Troop C Specialized Collision Reconstruction Team and is ongoing. But at this time, I would like the Georgia House to join the Department of Public Safety in sending our sincerest condolences and prayers to the TFC Redner's family and all of his co-workers, his friends, and his community. Please keep Chase Redner and his family in your thoughts and prayers as they cope with this tragic and unfortunate loss. If you will all bow with me with a moment of silence. Heavenly Father, be with his family. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you, House. Tragic loss. Representative Tran is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Tran passes. Chairman Stevens, Chairman Jaspers, and Chairman Newton recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and this is one you can sit down on, ladies and gentlemen. And again, our sincerest condolences to the family. What you have on your desk today is something that'll get your attention and shock and awe, as we say, with whenever we start this stuff. You'll look at a little printout from ACPI. We've been thought for years that our own insurance program, the state health benefit, basically paid pharmacies the same. Little did we know that they were running some of our independent pharmacies out of business. Bell's Pharmacy had its last day, not because they were not competitive on this past Friday, but because they had a lot of teachers in their district. Teachers, state patrol, all these other state employees. Ladies and gentlemen, I think if you'll look at the sheet, you'll see that some of the chains are getting paid as much as almost $90 for a prescription, where these local pharmacies are being paid $1.90. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how in the world we have allowed this to happen. I'm asking the governor to step in with a full investigation. I can guarantee you the Department of Community Health had no idea this was going on. And here's the question we all ought to be asking, not so much about what we're paying our independent community pharmacies that have been there for sometimes for generations. More importantly, and especially to those folks that are self-insured, what are they billing you and your employees other than what they're telling you that they're paying the pharmacies? That's the question.
I want to add, thank you, Chairman Stevens. Bell's Pharmacy is in my community. It's down the street from me, where they serve a small community of Tate. If you go in their pharmacy, when they reopened it 5 years ago, it's got marble countertops, because that's what Tate does. It's the marble that's in this building. And when she closed Saturday, it's sad. I'm emotional because I helped them. I helped them open. I helped them get their health certificates. I helped them get their pharmacy license. And now they're closed because of something we've done, it looks like. Katie Bell and her family have donated or spent 5 years improving the lives of the people in Tate. You should be worried. 30% of all independent pharmacists are going to close this year. That's in your community. Wherever we are in Georgia, the one that you go to that you can call on Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon when everybody's closed, and they come and help you. I think it's something that Chairman Stevens really brought home. It's something we need to look into and address. These independent pharmacies are the backbone of health care in many communities. If you don't have a physician in your community, they're one of the backbones, and we need to support them. It's a very, sorry I got a little emotional, but, I grew up in this world. It's important. I hope we can join in saving them. Oh, I'm sorry, my big foot.
Just real quick, Mr. Speaker, just as a partner with the pharmacies and the work they're doing, if you pull out that sheet of paper, I think you'll be as shocked as I am to see the difference in numbers on what some chain pharmacies for. And I've got nothing against chain pharmacies. They're a crucial team member as well. But like Chairman Jaspers said, in our rural communities, in many of our communities, and in some underserved areas, even of our big cities, the local independent pharmacist who lives and breathes in that business make a tremendous difference. And I hope we can make some progress on at least looking within our own house, which is state health benefits, and finding out what's going on, number one. Why are somebody getting $90, somebody getting $1.90 for the same prescription? And what are we being charged, as Chairman Stevens mentioned, but is somebody being paid too much and is somebody else being paid way too little? We want to make sure we look into this, and I look forward to working with our team and the administration to find out, number one, what's going on, and second, what do we need to do about it to protect the next pharmacy from being in your needed area? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would just like to add a comment that these independent pharmacists are the people we go to church with. They coach our kids in Little League Baseball, and they give so much back to our community. They are in-home, at-home people in our towns, and they're not off from some large corporation, and nothing against them, but we need to save our independent pharmacists. So I look forward to the opportunity to look at this question and possibly come with legislation that's going to address this issue.
Thank you, gentlemen. Representative Kennard is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Kennard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through it all, take me back. It won't be long, soon and very soon. The blood will never lose its power. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Those are just a few of the titles in the Andre Crouch songbook. Today I rise for Black History to honor Andre Crouch, one of the more powerful and prolific songwriters in gospel music history. He was from the West Coast. He was part of the Church of God in Christ tradition. At a very early age, he was writing songs and connected to his musical talent and his callings. In the 1960s, he started his first group, Andre Crouch and the Disciples, and immediately they lit the world on fire with their music. And the music and the songs of Andre Crouch started permeating the four corners of the earth. And it was a new sound. His sound was bold and groundbreaking. He's considered the father of the modern gospel era, the father of contemporary Christian music, and he paved the way for so many. No Andre Crouch, no Kirk Franklin. No Andre Crouch, no BB and CeCe. No Andre Crouch, no Hezekiah Walker or Fred Hammond. And his music had a crossover appeal. It crossed over genres, it crossed over cultures. Black churches and white churches both sang his music. And it crossed over from religious settings into secular spaces. He and his group were on the Mike Douglas Show, were on Johnny Carson, Saturday Night Live, Arsenio Hall. And then his music began to impact the film industry and TV. He was one of the choir directors on the Lion King soundtrack for Disney. He was hired by Quincy Jones to work on The Color Purple, the Steven Spielberg Alice Walker movie. That song towards the end of the movie, God is trying to tell you something. God is trying to tell you something. That's Andre's song, and he was nominated for an Oscar for that song. When Suge Avery in the Juke Joint sang Seeley's Blues, Sister, the singer on that was Tata Vega, Andre's singer. Michael Jackson, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Oh yeah, that's Andre's choir on the backing voices. Madonna's song, Like a Prayer, I'll take you there. Guess who? Andre Crouch. He passed into eternity on 2015, but his music lives on and it continues to inspire us and to take us to heavenly places. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Whip Burchett is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but if you guys expect me to top that, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I am rising for a very special occasion. It's important for me to tell you all here today, this is a momentous occasion. My mother's birthday is today, and she is watching, and so I want to tell my mom happy birthday. I very much appreciate everything you've done for me in my life, and as many of you feel the same as I do about your mother, there's just one of a kind there. So I want to say happy birthday, Mom, and tell grandmother and grandfather I said hey.
Our mothers are special, and especially yours. I know her. She's a special lady. Happy birthday. Chairman Blackman, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ms. Jamil Hill is here today with the Georgia Poor People's Campaign, and I'd like to ask you to join me in welcoming them to the People's House. And if you see them today, please make them feel welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Leader. Representative Nulowitz is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You may notice on your desk there is a reminder that beer is bipartisan. The Georgia Craft Brewing Caucus is going to be meeting this evening at Monday Night Garage from 5 to 7 p.m. All the information is on the flyer. I hope we will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. All right, we have 3 left, and I'm going to save one till last. Let's see. Representative Townsend Sains Deloach going to talk to us about an event tonight down at the depot, I think.
Come on, buddy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder tonight, starting at 5 o'clock, we'll have a Low Country Boil, Golden Isles. Mr. Shucks from Brunswick, Georgia will be there dishing it out. We'll have drinks and appetizers first, followed by dinner. It's going to be a great time. You can't beat his garlic shrimp. Hopefully he's got that tonight. So he's got some good stuff. If you like Low Country Boil or you like shrimp in general, come on down. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Is this Georgia Wild Shrimp?
Yes, sir. Georgia Wild Shrimp, the only shrimp.
That's what I'm talking about. Be there, be square.
Amen.
I'll be there.
And of course, Mr. Speaker, Woody was excited about the shout out the other day, and he's looking forward to seeing everybody.
Absolutely. We'll be glad to see him as well. Representative Jason Ridley has a special event down at the depot as well. So let's give the gentleman your attention.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, from the mountains to the sea, I guess, today. We're having Murray Night down at the depot tonight. I don't ask any of y'all to lie, but I do ask y'all to come down and tell them how great I am. And y'all can't do it without me. Come down and join me tonight. We always have a good time, friend, fellowship, and Mr. Representative Kennard will have some gin and juice. See you there.
Okay. Be there or be square, no doubt. Representative Draper has an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I could not let the day pass me by without wishing my oldest a happy 9th birthday. Happy birthday, Oscar. I know you're watching from home. Mommy loves you. Can't wait for cake and ice cream. All right.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Is Oscar a member of the Georgia Boys Choir?
He is a member of the the Atlanta Boys Choir and has been here several times singing. And yes, loves singing all the time. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the shout out.
Enjoy watching and listening to Oscar.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Oscar. That completes our afternoon orders. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Robert J. Bobby Gurley, Sr. Recognizing and commending Uchida Sensei in the Taito Karate School. Recognizing and commending Otis Williams. Recognizing and commending Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. Recognizing and commending Glenn Turman. Recognizing and commending Gene Karn. Recognizing and commending DJ Calvin, the coordinator. Recognizing and commending Dr. Anthony Tony Roberts upon the occasion of his forthcoming retirement. Commending Clayton State University. Recognizing February 2024 as Clayton State University Day at the state capitol. Recognizing and commending Bishop Reginald Thomas Jackson. Recognizing February 20, 2024 as Dr. Indra Krishnan Day at the state capitol. Recognizing 2024 Tech Demo Day at the state capitol. Recognizing and commending the graduates of TUA School of Business. Recognizing and commending Dr. Jacqueline Mohair. Recognizing and commending the authors of Beyond Boundaries, Inspiring Leaders in Business and Community. Commending Keith Thompson. Congratulating Dr. Pat Houston. Recognizing and commending the Adairsville High School JROTC program. congratulating and commending Rosalind Sconiers for receiving the 2024 Yellow Rose Nikki T. Randall Servant Leader Award, congratulating and commending the Linga de Campones program, recognizing and commending Veronica Maldonado Torres, commending Hyundai Motor Group's dedication to the state of Georgia, and recognizing February 26, 2024 as Hyundai Day at the state capitol, recognizing and commending Michael S. Killer Mike Render, recognizing and commending Georgia special education teachers, recognizing the 25th anniversary of peer support and the associated certified peer specialist workforce, recognizing February 22nd, 2024 as Georgia Commission on Women's Champions for Change Day at the state capitol, recognizing March 7th, 2024 as Nurses Day at the state capitol, commending the leaders of Greater Augusta, the Leadership Augusta Class of 2024, alumni of the Leadership Augusta program, and those working diligently to move the Greater Augusta community forward, and recognizing February 21st, 2024 as Greater Augusta Day and Leadership Day at the state capitol. Congratulating and commending the Adoptive Foster Parent Association of Georgia, recognizing and commending Chris Haymore on this outstanding public service as an educator, commending the Red Cross and recognizing March 2024 as Red Cross Month in Georgia, recognizing February 2024 as Dr. Salam Bey Day, honoring and commending Dr. Deborah Farley, recognizing February 20th, 2024 as Girls Empowerment Day, recognizing February 22nd, 2024 as the Warren Huntley Day, recognizing February 27th, 2024 as Dr. Derica Hartwell Day, recognizing and commending Councilwoman Dr. Sharon Keat Bennett, congratulating and commending Audrey Catilla, Miss Cobb County 2024, congratulating and commending Carrington Manos, Miss Cobb County's Teen 2024, recognizing and commending Tara Jenkins, congratulating and commending Miss Adrienne Baldwin, recognizing and commending Kayla Hill, congratulating and commending Jeanette Velez, and recognizing and commending the 2023 Technical College System of Georgia Award winners, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We'll go on to announcements. Representative Ballard has an announcement. Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Education Policy Subcommittee will meet in 515 CLOB at 1:30, and the Curriculum Subcommittee will meet in that same room immediately following the first meeting. Thank you.
Chairman Parsons is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Just a reminder to the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee that we're going to meet this afternoon in room 403 here in the Capitol. Scheduled for 3. I think there's somebody in the room before us, so it could be a little bit later, but hopefully at 3. And I've got about 200 emails on this issue we're going to take up. You probably have too, so I probably don't have to remind you, but this afternoon, Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications. Thank you.
Chairman Williamson is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Majority Caucus will have a luncheon immediately upon adjournment in room 403 upstairs. So, fellow Majority Caucus members, if you'd grab each other in the hall and remind them we have a caucus luncheon in 403 upstairs upon adjournment. Thank you.
Chairman Chokus is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Small Business Development Committee will not meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. It has been rescheduled. The Small Business Development Committee will meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. in room 403 here on the Capitol. Now, we will be having a presentation from the Craft Brewers Association, and I've heard a rumor that they might bring some samples. So again, tomorrow at 3 p.m., Small Business Development Committee, 403 hit the state capitol. Thank you.
Chairman Werkeiser is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is for your planning purposes. The Industry and Labor will not be meeting tomorrow at all, and that's just so you can plan. Thank you.
Chairman Rhodes is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Game Fish and Parks will meet tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., 403. 403 at 9 a.m.
Representative Alexander is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Women Legislative Caucus will meet immediately upon adjournment, room 230. Thank you.
Chairman Gunther recognized for an announcement.
House Judiciary will meet at 2 o'clock. We have a lunch down there that's, I think, open to everybody if you want to. It's a taco bar, but the committee will get started at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Chairman Lumsden's recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Full House Insurance Committee will meet in the morning at 8 a.m., CLOB 406. We have 3 measures on the agenda. Thank you.
Chair Lady Cooper is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Public Health Committee will meet today at 2 o'clock in room 606 LOB. 2 o'clock for the Public Health Committee in the LOB. Thank you.
Chairman Bonner is recognized for an announcement.
Defense and Veteran Affairs Committee today at 4 p.m., CLOB 506. We have one bill. It should be a brief meeting. Thank you.
Chairman Dickey is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, we'll have our Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee meeting in CLOB. Thank you.
That concludes our announcements, except for Representative Victor Anderson is recognized for an announcement and for his birthday. Let's wish. Tomorrow's your birthday? Oh, well, we'll celebrate tomorrow and today. We had you in the well, so we thought we'd get you there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, the Governmental Affairs Subcommittee, State and Local Subcommittee will be meeting immediately upon the caucus lunch adjournment, and the Elections Subcommittee will meet following that in CLOB 415. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That concludes our announcements and our business for the day. The House Majority Leader, Leader Estration, is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that this House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February the 21st, 2024, all those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're adjourned.